We're going to be reviewing Lucas's favorite book, The Christmas Pig. Lucas loves this book. He's already
I don't know
read
anything
it like
about
7 times.
No, he talked about it with me, but I haven't.
One boy and his toy are about to change everything. I forgot to mention this to you, but I think that you'll actually like this book, not only because it's J.K. Rowling's, jumping back into fantasy for the first time. It's also, people have compared it to a pairing, if you will, of the Velveteen Rabbit and Toy Story mixed with Harry Potter.
Oh wow, what a sprinkling.
That's what
everything.
People say. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, holy God, this is literally Toy Story and Harry Potter mixed together. Me just saying that caused Lucas to ejaculate right now. So when he's actually reading the book, it's going to be like his Order of the Phoenix. Is that the one that has the ejaculate all over it?
Hey everyone.
Did it?
Yeah,
hey everyone.
Pretty good.
Welcome to Why Are You Still Here? The show where Lucas and I talk about whatever we want.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
And
today,
what are we talking about?
We're talking about, move your head out of the way, Brandon. We're talking about cherished channel chat. See, look, the alliteration got me, as maybe it was Brandon's intention. So
I love alliteration.
Yeah, he does. So look at all our previous titles.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we're going to be talking about YouTube channels that apparently Brandon, this was the way he narrowed it down, because there was no way I was narrowing it down. In fact, I was widening it. He said, after looking at my list of 57 people who were just barely scratching the surface of my 310 subscriptions on YouTube, that he said, what was it? Pick 10 that if you were stranded on a desert island, that's all you could have. And
I said 5 at first.
Yeah, but it had to be expanded.
And then your face when I said 5, because I don't know if we made it completely clear. We're going to be talking about our favorite YouTube channels. And at first I was like top 5. And Lucas looked like I just murdered his whole family in front of him. And so then I was like, 10, I guess. 10? And your face still kind of looked like that, but I was like, it's gotta be 10. Come on. But yes, I saw his list, at least part of it, and it was gigantic. So yeah, I had to, try to come up with some type of format for this. And I was like 10, top 10 and, some honorable mentions, but yeah, like Lucas said, if you're stuck on a desert island and you could only bring 10 with you, which ones would they be?
And I'm going to have to assume, and I just did assume, so this is how I picked the list, I guess, sort of went into some thought of it. It's going to be their entire catalog, like past, present, and future, right? Okay, so all right, good. Then we're on the same page there.
Yeah, as long as it's under that channel. And are yours in order? Like, is 10 your least favorite?
I was going to mention that the order is somewhat it's somewhat in order of what I've been watching, but they're all interchangeable, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
I can't say that they're all better than because every single one of them I like for their own reasons.
Sure.
So and again, some of them might change down the line. It does every couple. I think this would be an interesting list to have every year or so, actually.
Yeah.
Because if I could see my YouTube list in 2009 versus 2021, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Probably pretty cringeworthy, but it'd be awesome to see. So I think
yeah, mine is not 100% in order either. Most
good.
of
I'm
these,
glad
like you said, I can watch any of these, and you know, just depending on the situation, time of day, my mood,
yeah.
whatever. It is all yeah, it's all the same
All right, so I
to
guess we're
me.
just gonna we're gonna go. It's gonna take us into our honorable mentions. I guess we don't gotta spend too much time on these ones because there's gonna be a lot of
No,
time on the others. So I think I'll just uh, batch them all up and talk about them all at once. So the
sure.
first one we'll give a shout out to, again, no particular order. I just went through my list and kind of grabbed them. And again, these are kind of like from my most watched videos or subscriptions. Go on YouTube. If you go to your subscription section, the top people are the ones that you click on their notifications the most. So tit for tat. Brandon didn't know that. Ha, it rhymed. Anyway.
I didn't even think about even going to look at them, period. Just the
Yeah,
list of
interesting.
them.
Well, my first list was everything off the top of my head. That's why it was so long. And then my second list, I went and looked at that to kind of narrow it down a little bit. So I guess we'll go to the honorable mentions. I'm spending too much time here. So first one, it's kind of it's a parody channel of a YouTuber. It's definitely not up hardly anyone's alley. This is channel Snort Burnell about Dark Side Phil gaming. Dark Side Phil was a YouTuber who he rose to popularity in like 2008, 2009 out of necessity of having nothing. He was one of the first Let's Play streamers, as I was one of the first vloggers. Doesn't mean I was any good. Doesn't mean Dark Side Phil was any good. He's a horrible gamer. He blames everything on the internet connection. His personal life he has put on the internet, and he has just become a complete joke. He's, as I have alluded to, he's a monkey dancing for peanuts, and that's how he makes his living. And it's like watching a bad reality show. It's unbelievable that somebody could be begging for $150 in donations per day to play video games. Brandon, could you imagine? And this is how he talks to his audience. He goes, guys, I don't even know if we're going to be able to hit the tips goal tonight, guys. Okay, like this is sad. Like this is a new game and there's no support for the stream. So I don't even know why I'm here right now. I should just end the stream and stop if no one's going to contribute. And then could you imagine going up to your table and saying, all right, if no one's going to tip tonight, then I'm just going to leave my shift right now because there's no point in me being here. That's how people look at Dark Side Phil. He's ungrateful to play video games for a living. And he's a living meme of himself. He's a guy who just doesn't get reality.
The guy who just doesn't get reality.
It's an inside joke. And if you give him $150, he will put on a cowboy hat as like a daily goal. And he's like in his mid 30s. Like that's the life. It's a train wreck. See, he's laughing. And Snort Burnell is like a 15-minute compilation of his like 5-hour live stream per day. And it's very good to see like the little snippets out of there. It's funny. He calls his family, his wife and his cat. He goes, I have to provide a good home life for my wife, and you know, and for Jasper, my cat. He's like my child. Okay. Like this is my family here. And you guys are threatening my family's livelihood.
From California?
No, he's from Connecticut, and he moved to Washington all the way across the country. Okay. And it's interesting, dude. There's so much about Dark Side Phil. He's actually the valedictorian of his high school. He went to he has a business degree. He had a desk job. Like he speaks very eloquently. He knows grammar like you do. He's very good at it. If there's one thing I'll give him, I'll have to give everybody one thing, is that he knows words and he can use them. He's not stupid, but he's just stuck in this trap of being able to play video games all day. I don't think this man has put on jeans in like 10 years. He's always wearing pajama pants. Like he lives this great life, and his wife just goes to her shitty job. Like and she cooks for him. And I can't talk about him anymore because that's going to be a whole thing. So Dark Side Phil, is very interesting. I used to listen to Snort Burnell when I would drive, and I would be laughing so hard that I would be like laughing and like hitting on the brake, you know, like it would like, don't listen to Dark Side Phil while you're driving your vehicle. So I'm going to move on to another channel. This is the Archfiend. He started his channel back in 2006. It's one of the channels that I have from when I started out YouTube.
Okay.
Him and the AVGN actually started their channel like months within each other, as did I, all in that year of 2006.
Hi guys, remember me? I'm the OG AVGN hater.
So I've always been interested in the Archfiend. I've always loved his stuff because I've seen him since day one, basically. And he was, I'm going to say this, he's kind of an asshole. He's kind of like me when I was a kid. He really seemed to take unpopular opinions and really roll with them. And it seemed like going against the grain was his thing. But every once in a while, he had a gem of a video. And his thing was calling out YouTube e-begging whores in 2008, before Patreon was even a thing. Just to give you an example, he would call out, you know, iJustine, the tech channel, and that's an older tech channel too.
No.
She's a girl who was into Apple products, and she became popular for, I think in like 2007-ish. She got an AT&T bill from, it was AT&T for her iPhone, and the bill came in a box.
I have an iPhone, and I had to switch to AT&T. Okay, that's wonderful. Well, I got my first AT&T bill right here. In a box.
That was like this big, because it had phone records of all of her activity. And that's the reason why the iPhone bill was so big. It was like some weird anomaly. And she was in Starbucks and goes, look at my iPhone bill, because the iPhone was brand new. And then she just takes it, and it's a video time lapse for opening it. And that's how she became popular, which is bizarro as hell. And then she became popular for unboxing Apple products. And I will say this, you know, she does like Apple and she knows Apple history, but she monetized a video of her crying when Steve Jobs died. And that was like the nail in the coffin. And his video about her gained a lot of traction when he talked about that. And when I mean a lot of traction, I mean like 80,000 views. This is 2008, 2009, 2009. And like Ray
that
William
was
Johnson.
Unheard of at that time. Like millions of views was not a thing.
Yeah. And do you remember Ray William Johnson?
No.
Wow. Okay. Ray William Johnson was the Tosh.0. You know that thing.
Yes.
So he was just
I know that.
Yeah. So he was Tosh.0, but on YouTube. So what he would do is he would compile like the top 3 funny viral videos of the week, monetize the video, and give the original content creators no credit. And he would make the money off of it. So he was an e-begging scumbag. So Archfiend would call them out. He would call out Apple for their shitty business practices. It was like the edgelord voice of the time, you know, because the popular thing on YouTube was to like those kinds of videos, not to go against them. You know what I mean? YouTube was becoming more mainstream in 2009. So, and he makes a video maybe once or twice a year, and it's always good to see him come out of retirement. But he has a whole catalog of things I remember. And the last one I'll mention is a newer channel that I found in the last year and a half, which is weird. Okay. I ended up putting there. His name is P. Sivrai. He is an Australian YouTuber. And when I was on my MacBook, fix up, binge, fix, sell craze, which I don't even do anymore. I did for like 3 months. It was a hobby. Anyway, he made those kinds of videos, but beyond that, he will take like older, like Windows 98 Pentium computers and restore those and see what you can get out of them, add new thermal paste, improve the performance of these old computers, which is just interesting to see. Not that they're going to do anything on them, but it's cool to see those beige computers that are all sun damaged, remodeled and transformed. I have other channels on my list that do the same thing, so I'm not going to spend too much more time talking about it, but he's the youngest of the people of the guys that fix up these computers. The other ones are really crusty old men that do like Commodore 64s and stuff. So
okay,
I want to give that one out there. Those are my honorable mentions. This is going to be longer than I thought. Brandon, take it away with your honorable mentions, as we always are.
Yes. Okay, so it's going to be very strange. This shouldn't come as a surprise at this point, but Lucas and my interests are quite different. We do have interests that are the same, but which is why we're friends, but for this it's so different. So all of my stuff is like nerdy shit, but
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to disappoint. We're gonna get into the nerdy stuff. I swear, guys. These were the honorable mentions.
Okay, so my honorable mentions is in no particular order as well. Vote Saxon 07. When I first got into Doctor Who, he was a channel that I came across, and he was, you know, somebody that talked, still does, you know, it's not that, you know, he doesn't have that old of a channel. But it was there for me in 2014 when I first started watching the show. And he was like reviewing Doctor Who props, you know, like prop replicas and action figures, and, you know, would do reviews of the episodes and all that kind of stuff. So I really, you know, it took my fandom for the show and, you know, increased it to the next level. So still, I love watching his videos. He does less Doctor Who videos now. He does more like Ghostbusters and that kind of thing. But, you know, still
just an evolution of things, you know, and
yes,
good to still have that personality around. I understand.
Indeed. And his, you know, feelings about the show, because he is I think he's Irish. I almost said Scottish, but I think he's Irish. I'm friends with him on Facebook.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
Yeah, and you know, so he's like there in the, you know, even though Ireland's not in the UK, it's still in the UK region. And, you know, so he brings a different perspective about the show as well that maybe I wouldn't necessarily see, but our feelings about it very much align. The next one is Drowned Boy Productions. And this is a guy that I discovered within the last year. And it has taught me a lot of, you know, giving me a lot of info about ghost face masks. That's like his big shtick, is he's a mask collector, knows a whole bunch of information about those masks, the peanut-eyed ghost mask or the weeping ghost, made by Fun World. And so that, you know, has given me a lot of hours of fun watches. And it's actually because of him I discovered that one of the masks I had in my collection was actually on the set of Scream 2. It wasn't used.
What? Oh.
But it was on the set. So Wes Craven, when Scream 2 happened, at this point, Fun World was actually making masks for their production for Scream, the first Scream. They weren't yet. They were just, you know, they were just getting off the ground. And they had like a couple different masks that they were using, but Fun World wasn't involved to that level yet. For Scream 2, 3, 4, and, you know, 5, even though it's not called Scream 5, but for all intents and purposes, Scream 5 next year, Fun World will actually make the production masks for the movies. And Wes Craven wasn't sure exactly the look he was going to be going for. So Fun World said, okay, well, we'll ship over 500 masks to set, or 1,000 masks to set. Nobody knows exactly the number. And he went and he handpicked out the ones that he wanted to use, the 2, 3, 4, whatever that he wanted to use, stunt masks, hero masks, whatever. And my mask was amongst those that were sitting there in front of him. So
I don't know how you didn't mention that in our Scream ghoulish go-tos. That's so cool. You mentioned Scream 2 about being your favorite. I don't know. That's awesome.
Yeah.
As being your favorite,
true.
That's a cool little connection. That's awesome.
Yeah, I guess I just didn't really think about it. And then the last two, the Slaughtered Lamb movie podcast, that one's so new. And they're doing some great things over there. And, you know, they talk horror movies, the best and worst of, that's their sort of their format. And they're great. You know, if anybody that's watching this doesn't know about them, go check them out. They're very much the same format of kind of what we're doing. They're just doing it better. But who is
a running
right?
theme? Maybe on Brandon's side. I think he has more podcast type shows. As we found out, we're not a podcast. We're a YouTube show. We're not gonna go into detail about that because we do have to move on. I don't even know where I'm gonna split this video because I thought it was gonna be a one-parter. Every time I think that, I'm wrong. I don't know where it's gonna get split because
it's always gonna be super long. But I have to throw one more in as well because I think you had 4.
No, I had 3.
And that's did
But
you?
I could definitely throw another one in there though.
Cosplay Chris. That was when I just threw in last moment. He's an Australian guy as well. You said Australian
I know who you're talking
guy,
about.
and I thought
I watched him recently during the Halloween kills. Yeah, he was talking about all the masks, Michael Myers mask. Yeah, he's got the brown hair, right?
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's like this. Like, I'm not a gay man. Trust me, I'm not. This man, he's a very attractive Australian man. And what's funny, this is my coming out video, guys. No, I only bring that up because he's such a nerd. And you look at this guy and you're like, no, this guy is like this Australian jock. How could he be a nerd? But he's the biggest nerd. So that's the only reason I brought that up, because
I think we found Brandon's man crush.
Yes, indeed. But yeah, it's insane because he puts me to shame as far as my nerdiness goes. And
that's insane.
And he always starts off his show being like, "Hello, geeks and geekettes."
Hello, geeks and geekettes.
And
hello,
so yeah, but he's cool, so I had to mention him as well. But yeah, those are my honorable mentions.
All right, so I guess we're gonna go on to our 10. Let's just say our 10 list, because again, it's somewhat kind of in order, but not really.
Our 10 list.
Yeah, our 10 list.
Yeah, it's not in order. Yeah, maybe a little, but not entirely.
So I'm gonna start with I'm just gonna start with the 10th choice.
Okay.
Feature Man. This is a channel that I didn't know about until the mukbang craze became a thing. Now, don't conflate that word with what I'm about to finish this YouTube channel story with. So like the mukbang thing is just people eating on camera, but a lot of people have turned it into like exorbitant eating, like tens of thousands of calories in a sitting to be cool. But Feature Man started making videos in like 2005, like even before I did, and I didn't know about him back in the day. But he is, at this point, he's in his 80s. He's an old man who was an extra movie actor and did various sitcom shows in the 80s and 90s here and there. So I guess he's what you would say, like, and I'm not even saying this to be rude, like a D-list, like tier celebrity. Like no one knows who he is. His name is Tom Willett. That's his real name. And I guess the most notable thing that he was starring in as a character was a show called Dear John, like a sitcom soap opera type bullshit thing. But he's in a lot of notable movies. He was an extra in The Twilight Zone. He was an extra in Airplane, for an example. And what he does is he'll sit down. He's just like sitting there talking with your grandpa. He'll tell stories of moving from Tennessee to California in the 40s and what that was like, and trying to get into Hollywood. He plays the piano, he sings, he dropped out of middle school, he self-taught himself, all these things. And he'll tell stories about the Twilight Zone accident when that happened. He wasn't there on that set that particular day. Yes. But he did, he had a Vic Morrow story associated with that. He talked about being on set with Clint Eastwood, about how he would prefer to talk to the extras rather than like the main list actors, because the extras were more regular people. Yeah, that's Tom Willett right there, Feature Man. And he would have stories with Leslie Nielsen and what have you. So he'll just sit and talk about it for like half an hour, and it's just like sitting with your grandpa here, and it's very relaxing. It's really wholesome. It's not something you would even think like, oh, that's what Lucas likes. Oh, it's awesome. I watched his channel like religiously for a while. The food he makes looks borderline disgusting. He eats a lot of frozen TV dinners, and it's just bizarre. Like it's such a bizarro channel, but it's so wholesome. I've never seen a more positive comment section in my life. It's a really cool
it's good.
channel. I've never seen a criticism on there, and it's probably because he reminds everybody of their grandpa. So that'll be my number 10, because I mean, like, it's still interesting, but there's a lot more entertainment and education factor with my later channels. So there's that.
Cool. My number 10 is one that I discovered within the last year as well. And that is Teddy Baldessar. And he is I don't know how I originally even came across him, but I was looking up watch videos galore because I was going to make a watch purchase. And this is like the one, so stupid. This is the one episode that I'm not wearing a watch in.
I noticed that you weren't. It's funny you say that, but I didn't say anything.
Which is, don't even get me started on it. I thought about running upstairs, but I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
Mostly because I'm talking about Teddy Baldessar. And he runs a watch company, and he not a watch company. He is a watch dealer, but he also makes these videos, and some of them with Mr. Wonderful. Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank, because he's a watch connoisseur, and he just will tell you all these information, all these information. He tells you all of this information about different watch companies and different types of watches, and he'll tell you the good and the bad about certain watches. So that's how I got into him, because I was like, I want to know what he's going to say about this and that. And, and I got to the point where I was really, really trusting his opinion on everything. And I still do. And he makes these videos that are also kind of relaxing too, a little bit.
Okay.
Because he just has sort of like a demeanor to him. And yeah, I don't know. It's like, if you love watches, you're going to love his channel, because it's about the watches themselves and the lifestyle around it. And he does interviews sometimes. He did an interview with the guy who used to run Movement, which is a watch company that's like, it's a fashion watch company. So it's like, it's not well respected at all. So that was a really funny video, because the Movement guy was very serious about it, and Teddy was kind of putting in digs in there. But he's also, he's done interviews with like the president of Omega, and so on and so forth. So I really love it. I love it. So that's really all I have to say about that. But it's a good one.
Yeah, as me not being a watch person, and as niche as that channel sounds, I could imagine that there's probably a pretty, I don't know if it would have a huge following, but it sounds like it'd have a religious following who would gush over it like you just did.
Yeah.
Kind of like a lot of car enthusiast channels too. If we're going to go into like that, like you said, you looked into it when you were doing research for your watch.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of channels, car channels, that I enjoyed when I was looking for my car for like the last freaking year, basically, before I bit the bullet and got something like brand new. And I wanted to put some of those car channels in there, but I guess they just didn't make the list. So I'm glad that your interest in purchase translated to a channel like that, because I still do follow some of these channels that I found, but not in the same way that you did. Not enough where I could put them in the list. So bravo on you. That's cool.
Yes, thank you.
Of course. So I guess I'll go to the next pick. This is a pick that we both enjoy. This ended up being
number 9.
See, I don't even know if they're number 9s. It's gonna just say pick number 9, because I can't even number them. Matter. Yeah, I can't number them. I can't with my heart number them.
I will say this though, I can't speak for your list, but my number 1 is my number 1.
Mine's not, because my number 1 has changed.
Well,
I'll then it'll say Brain is number 1. We'll do a whole big thing for it. I'll give you fireworks and everything. Anyway, so I guess we'll go to the proverbial number 9. This is the only movie channel I have on here, and it's funny. You know what? Maybe I might have to make all
what mine are pretty much. So yeah,
cool. The great dynamic. I think I'm gonna make an impromptu cut right now, because I didn't even think about it, because I don't watch movie channels anymore. One of the channels I'm gonna lump in there with movies, that's a video game channel too. But it was gonna be Cody Leach, but we're scrapping him right now. And I guess I'm gonna swap him out with Jeremy Johns. I think I'd rather watch him than Jeremy Johns. I don't even know why I didn't think of that in the first place. Maybe it's because I watched so much Cody Leach over October that it wasn't my subscription thing. But I'm sorry, Cody. Your channel.
You have Jeremy Johns on your list?
I just swapped him out. Yeah, it's gonna
be
the
only Jeremy Johns on my list.
Look, Duncan, he just got up and looked. He was interested. Cool. So, you know what? I'm assuming he's going to be higher up on your list. So I'm going to let you take away on that one. But okay. I enjoy his opinion. It tends to be in line with mine. His is maybe a little more open than mine is. I would definitely say, but I do tend to agree with his opinion. And I do think that he needs to cut his hair at some point.
He cut it.
Oh, he finally did?
Yeah.
And then grew back out
a couple months ago. And now it's starting to get longer again.
Okay, so I'm gonna let you talk about that. So because like when we did the Halloween thing where I ended up talking about it mostly, I think you might have more authority. So I think you should go to your proverbial number 9.
Okay. Yes, my number 9 is Corridor Crew. So they are awesome. I'm guessing, and again, this is another channel that I discovered only within the last like couple years. And I think that they actually just started over the last couple of years as well, but they were like a spin-off channel from another channel that was just called Corridor, and they made like cool videos because their company is like a special effects house a visual effects house and for like movies and stuff. So they'd make cool videos, but that didn't interest me as much as their videos that they would do. They would do like VFX artist reacts to different movies and TV shows and that kind of stuff. And so they like sit on a couch and they, talk about the effects and how they were done and how they thought they were done and what looks good and what looks bad and all of that kind of stuff. And they're like 47 something like that episodes into that series. And I love them. I love them so much. I've learned so much about visual effects from them that I would not have known prior. And it's not something that interests me to a point.
Is it kind of like trivia on the stuff that they have worked on, or do they just take topics and
No, it's just stuff that they know about since they are a VFX company. They know about this stuff and like how it's done and how long it takes time to do this kind of stuff. And then they'll get guests on, some famous guests on, people that are VFX artists, famous VFX artists, or one of their most recent episodes, they got Seth Rogen on because Seth Rogen directed a few movies and TV shows, and he's very he works very closely with VFX for his movies, and so he had a lot to say about it, and they were asking him questions and all this kind of stuff, and they were watching things from like Green Hornet and Preacher and The Boys and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, it was it's so interesting because I always kind of looked at it as like, oh, like CGI, like I'm more into practical effects and all this kind of stuff, but it's like, no, like it's an art form. And this is something I found out as well. If CGI looks bad in a movie, it's only because they did not have enough time to do it. They weren't given enough time.
It makes sense.
And that's the only reason for it. If CGI looks good in a movie, that's because they simply got enough time to do it. And so it's just, I don't know. It's so interesting to me being a huge movie buff. And it's completely changed my perspective on VFX. So yeah, Corridor Crew.
And we're going to go to proverbial number 8, 8th choice. Number 8 YouTuber on the list.
Number 8.
This is going to be a YouTuber. He used to call himself the creative one. He's rebranded his channel into his own name, which is David Defranco. Now it's his namesake channel. I can't say that there's anything that separates this guy apart from the crowd, other than the fact that it was another channel that I watched for the last 15, 16 years. He was another original YouTuber. And when I started out watching him, there was nobody else making videos at the time. So there was just this high school guy. He's a little bit older than me at the time. I think I was in middle school at this time period. And I remember he was really, his parents were rich. Yeah, you could tell they were well-to-do. 360 and the PS3 came out, and the Wii came out in this between the years of 05 and 06. And in those 2 Christmases, he acquired all 3 consoles and barely touched 2 of them. He would unbox them and talk about them. He had a Mac Pro that had like 32 gigs of RAM in like 2008 when he was in like high school going into college. And it's like, dude, come on, man. And it was just, come on, man. And it was just,
come on, man.
And it was just watching him just, I didn't like him. Corn pop, my hairy legs.
Corn pop, man.
And
wait, so out of the 3 consoles, what was the one that he used?
The 360.
I don't like him.
He had like 2 games for the PS3, a couple games for the Wii, and never touched it again. I just hated him for the fact that he had everything I wanted. I was just so jealous and
just didn't care.
That's
probably.
What it was. He didn't appreciate it. It didn't seem like he appreciated it and use it. And then he graduates, goes to college, still makes Mac videos. I think he gets something in graphic design, possibly, but he just makes a living off of being like a 200,000 grandfathered YouTube channel that the only people who donate to him on his Patreon and watch his videos are people like me, because watching him, it's not relaxing. It's comfort food. I know exactly what I'm going to watch. It takes me back to a time period. And he's definitely a lot cooler now than he used to be, but he just streams games and unboxes things here and there and talks about his Tesla. The channel's quite, all intents and purposes, not what it was, but it's always, and again, this is what I wanted on the desert island, was to go back and watch that time period, because it's like a time capsule. So I like that channel for that reason. The modern stuff, whatever, but it's cool. But it is cool to see somebody who's a little bit older than us see their opinion on, who is a techie, see their opinion on like Teslas and how they perform. And it re-solidified the fact that I don't want an electric vehicle for maybe 15 years. Until my Trax is driven into the ground, I don't even want to look at an electric car. They're not worth it yet. He re-solidified that opinion. Anyway, so yeah, it's a channel of old and new and a horrible marriage of both. But again, it's that frozen TV dinner. I know exactly what I'm getting with it, guys. I've had it forever and I like it. It's Ruby Tuesdays. It's TGI Fridays. It's thrown from us now. I'm glad you got that. Yes. So anyway, yeah, and it sounds like I hate the guy, and I don't hate him, but it needed some preface to it. So anyway, it was a part of the Desert Island shtick. I do like the channel, I swear. I thought that had to be incorporated. So Brandon, go to your next.
This one is an interesting one, because this is like my sellout pick. My like, of course, it's Brandon's Gone Hollywood pick, and that is Good Mythical Morning, and Rhett and Link, and God, I love those guys. I love them so much, but I'm a little jealous.
It was
of
Brandon's master plan for us.
Yeah, exactly. And Lucas even said before that if we started in 2008, then we could have been them.
Oh, we would have been. Again, it was dumpster diving, guys. Remember? There wasn't a whole lot of it at the time,
Oh,
you were
right.
You were grandfathered
sure.
in for just being by nature of being around at that point. So
but they are they're really funny. It's also it's comfort food for me. Speaking of food, I especially love when they do taste tests of things that are like, I love crazy or weird, and
I really like the one in particular where they did all the diet pops and then reviewed every single one of them.
Sure,
because that was when I found out that I do have an affinity for Diet Coke and Diet Dr. Pepper.
Interesting. They'll do like blind, like taste tests, and like all of that kind of stuff. And they'll try to pick out which one is from which store, like it'll be like, which one's the
Like the
name
store
brand food and
foods.
the store brand, and this one's from Kroger and this one's from Walmart, or you name it. I got like a knock on the door or something. That was weird. Yeah. Walmart, and then they have like some California companies there that I am not like super that I really know anything about. Jesus Christ. Can you hear that? Yeah, Good Mythical Morning is I don't know. It's just, I love when they do the food stuff, but I love when they do anything. They're super funny and like charming, and you could tell they're good buddies that have known each other almost their entire lives and whatnot. So it's just, I love it. So on to number 7.
Good, because I feel I don't have the same affinity for them, but a couple times a year I'll pop them on it, and I never want to turn them off. I genuinely enjoy the channel. I'm subscribed to them. Yeah, it's awesome. So this next channel, this is so out of left field that I had to put it on here. It's really cool. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it's starting to get a really good following. I think they almost have 2 million subscribers at this point, maybe even more.
Wow. Okay.
The channel is called Townsend's. It is James Townsend and Son. That's the channel. And James Townsend is the host of the channel. And I can only assume from watching his videos that before he was a YouTuber, he was at a living museum, because he does 17th and 18th century cooking tutorials and building tutorials, all in like costume traditional of the time period, using those kinds of tools, using whisks made of bristles, and he will sell these on his online store. He has a whole kitchen. It looks like it's right out of the time period, and it's these amazing recipes translated from different languages, from the common people to rich people. There's like an 18th century fried chicken that's made in like beef tallow as like the base for the oil. It's really interesting to see all these different things that they had. They'll have this thing called like for example, they have like soldier rations. If soldier rations were bad in like World War I and II, imagine what they were in the 18th century, 19th century. They have like hard tack, which is like just essentially like really hard cookies or biscuits, in the UK. There's this thing called like portable soup, where you solidify like beef fat and you're able to wrap it and keep it in like your sack. He teaches you how to build like shelter, and he has people come on and tell you how to cook rabbits. It's really bizarre. It's all like survivalist, but it's what early Americans or whatever have you were doing, mostly America, because he focuses on the history aspect of things, and like historical foods and stuff, and how fish is for example really it was a necessity to the northeast part of the country. It's really cool to see, and all the guests he has come on know quite a bit. He'll have experts for like dairy at the time come on too, showed you how they made like butter and like ice cream made with like Parmesan cheese at the time. So weird, but it's so interesting, and I think you might end up checking out this channel at some point. It's just really, it's a living museum. It's like people used to live like that, and it's like, so I guess when you go get restaurant food, that's why you don't die, and it's so disgusting back there, because of the shit that people were eating. Because you see all the flies flying around in the cooking area, and it's just, wow, this is what they did. Really interesting.
God, okay.
Yeah, he even eats out of bowls and silverware that they would use at that time. It's so cool. So I had to
kill himself is what he's going to do.
Or he built up an immunity to it, and that's why he's fine. But again,
maybe
being stranded on an island, I think that would also be a good video to have, a good channel to have.
For sure.
So I had to throw that curveball in there.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
Because that's
definitely not something.
That's the only one that's of that similar. And I've been watching the channel for like 4 or 5 years now at this point. So it's pretty consistent.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, it's just
Never
like, when am
heard
I?
of him, but
And it's like, what? Yeah, when am I ever going to talk about that again? So it's like, I had to mention. I had to
yeah,
mention
for
it.
sure. That's awesome.
Cool.
And what does it say about me that when you said had people on from Derry, and I immediately thought Derry, Maine? From it?
I thought, that's what you were going with when you mentioned that.
Yes, indeed. This is an interesting one. Probably not for me. You'd think like, oh, that's something that totally he would watch. This is my oldest watch channel.
Okay. I'm
that
interested.
was the one I was referring to when I said that. He started in 2008. I've been watching him since 2008. And that is a man named Stevie Ricks. And he does a slew of different impersonations of musical artists. So
okay.
I actually discovered my love for Oasis through him. And so he is massively intertwined with my life, because I did not have any strong feelings about Oasis. And then he started doing like videos where he was like impersonating them. And that's the kind of funny thing with him too. Like if he is going to do a video where he's Oasis, he's playing both of the brothers. Both of the brothers.
You're going to be both of the brothers. Both of the brothers.
He's both of the brothers, and he just like green screens it, or he'll be like the Beatles, but all of the Beatles. Yeah, and he in particular does a killer John Lennon and Paul McCartney. And he'll record music as them and then do funny skits and all this kind of stuff. He is, I swear, the hardest working man on YouTube. And I don't think that he gets the recognition for it. So I had to mention him because he is hilarious. I actually have a Stevie Ricks shirt, and I should have worn it. It didn't even occur to me until right now. He's the only YouTube channel I've ever bought clothing from.
See, even I haven't done that. And I've considered it many times, but I just never pulled the trigger, which now that you said that, I'm going to end up buying like 5 hoodies from random YouTubers after this conversation. Spend money that I don't need to spend.
I wanted to support him because he seemed like a legitimately nice guy. He lives in England. And he's just so funny, so funny. Like, and even like my Freddie Mercury impression, the like, yes, indeed. Like all of that comes from him. That's him. Yeah, that's his Freddie Mercury. And like, they're like, the Beatles are bigger than cheeses, the Beatles are bigger than cheeses, cheddar or some type of brie, the bigger than cheeses, like that, whatever. It's just so much of my personality, my humor has been molded from him.
Okay.
And so I love it. But the shirt I have, it's a John Lennon shirt. It's him as John Lennon. It says, I think it says peace, peace, and I think it says that on it. But yeah, God, I love Stevie Ricks. And I would love for his channel to blow up at some point, but it just really never has. And he's been around since 2008.
You know what? Sometimes I'm okay with that, because then it's like my little gem of a channel that no one knows about.
Yeah, and he's super humble. Yeah, see, he has 58. He has 58,000 subscribers. The guy should have 2 million subscribers, and he's always uploading, almost every day. And these are like legit skits, legit songs, music, whatever. Like he plays all the instruments in it and records it. And it's just like this guy.
Well, I guess it's just his passion project then. It was an ongoing passion project.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
I guess so.
That's another one I'm going to have to check out then. Because I've never, again, for being on YouTube for 100 years, I've never even heard of him. Maybe when I see him, I'll recognize him. But no, the name isn't ringing any bells.
Yeah, maybe. I hope so.
So I guess we'll go on to the next one then, if you have nothing else to say about the guy.
No.
Other than he needs more recognition. So you've given him some more recognition today then. So the next channel is one, really inspired a lot of what I did on YouTube, because I meant to ask you this earlier, but it was going to come up again at some point. Did you upload consistently on YouTube when you were younger, or did you just do like one-offs here and there?
One-offs here and there.
I uploaded, and the channel is no longer around, but I uploaded consistently for like 3.5, like almost 4 years. So I did have like a fan base, and I had a thing that I did, which was just fucking video games and music. But for a 13-year-old to have like 2,000 subscribers in like 2008, that shows, again, like I say, you were not getting quality stuff. Okay. That was when putting your camera in front of your tube TV, where the refresh rate doesn't match up with the camera, so you get the black line that goes across. That was more than acceptable, because that's all you had. That's what we're talking about here.
Those were only kind of TVs that existed. So,
capture card software wasn't a consumer option for like 5 years up until that point, to get the gameplay off the console. Unless you wanted to record it on a DVD or a VHS tape and rip it to your computer, which I had done before, believe it or not. And anyway, so this channel was like a lot of inspiration. This channel inspired every single retro gaming YouTuber from the years of 2006 to 2008. And that was the Angry Video Game Nerd, whom I have to give credit where it's due, like I do on this list for some people. Again, they're not my all-time favorites, but that back catalog is something that I can't live without. I watched that channel religiously for so many years. The channel as a whole was Cinemassacre, who did the Monster Madness thing, where I learned almost all of my horror history in terms of Universal horror, the beginning of slasher, the rise of like gore fests, like English horror movies, like the Hammer films, like Christopher Lee's Dracula. That is such a hidden gem Americans don't know about. And I learned a lot of cool things. So I have such an affinity for that channel. Again, like I always say, the 2007 era, like the end of my middle school years going into high school. It has really struck a chord with me. That's classic YouTube. That's what I think about. And his videos were just so well produced. They were on a level of nothing else, because he was an aspiring filmmaker at the time, and that comes through in his work. His film debut never came through. You can tell the AVGN character is retired. It's old. He doesn't write his own videos. He doesn't edit them anymore. They're just a character. That's all he is. And you can tell that he doesn't want to do it. And you can tell when he does like podcasts and movie reviews, he is infinitely more excited to do anything related to that than AVGN. And it's sad, because as AVGN, he's able to meet Macaulay Culkin, Gilbert Gottfried have been on his show for his garbage newer videos. And it's like,
I've seen the Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah. So, and even he's done videos with Pat the NES Punk, who we're going to talk about at some point. They all have collaborated, and it's interesting. And it's an encapsulation of YouTube retro gaming history, because even though he was a character, he was the one to put retro gaming on the map for the internet. It was not a big thing. When AVGN started in 2005, you were getting N64 games for a fucking nickel at EB Games. That was, you couldn't give that shit away, dude. Nobody wanted it. It wasn't a thing. Once people became nostalgic for it and saw James Rolfe's videos online for it, became insane. When he reviewed a game, the price on the game went up. He was the first guy to start it. So I guess for history's sake, for YouTube as a whole, retro gaming as a whole, and for what it meant to me personally, I have to put AVGN on there. So that's that.
I watched a video recently where he played or tried to play games on a Commodore 64, and that was really funny.
Yeah, and again, like I didn't,
and that's a recent video, so.
And I didn't, as a kid, I didn't know all about I know what the Commodore 64 was. My dad would tell me about it, but I didn't know what it was.
It's trash.
Yeah, exactly. And then we talk about the Commodore PET from there, and then we see games loaded on cassettes. As a seeing that in 2007 is bizarro. All right, it creates a whole new interest to the hobby. So I mean, he has to get a lot of credit for that. So I'm gonna just gush too much about nostalgia and what it meant to me at the time. So we're gonna move on from there. Brandon, go to your next pick.
My next pick is somebody else who has gotten Macaulay Culkin on their show, Red Letter Media. Yes.